Jones, here's Durant. They run a double team at him that time. Timberwolves in rotation defensively. And Allen.
Okay, so let's talk about the Phoenix Suns for a second. Remember when they were supposed to be the next big thing in the NBA? Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, 3 all-stars coming together to form the ultimate super team? Well, if you're hoping for a championship run, you can go ahead and lower those expectations, because the Suns are crumbling, and they're doing it in spectacular fashion. As of March 2025, if the playoffs started today, they wouldn't even make the play-in tournament. Yeah, you read that right. The team that was supposed to take over the NBA is barely keeping their heads above water. So what went wrong? Let's dive in. When the Suns pulled off that huge trade in 2023 to bring Kevin Durant to Phoenix, fans were buzzing. Booker and Durant? That sounded like an unstoppable duo. But wait, they weren't done. The Suns went all in and brought in Bradley Beal from Washington too, forming a big 3 that had every basketball fan talking. It was supposed to be the ultimate super team, but injuries hit them like a freight train. And I'm not talking about small, nagging injuries that can be played through. Oh no, I'm talking about major issues that kept the stars sidelined for games at a time. Beal's first season was a nightmare, with back and elbow injuries limiting him to just 53 games. Durant? He was dealing with calf problems in the 2024 to 2025 season. And Booker? Well, his ankles were constantly giving him trouble. So the big 3 barely got a chance to play together. And when they did, it wasn't pretty. If you've been following the Suns, you know the injuries have been the main story. When Beal finally suited up for the Suns, fans expected him to be the missing piece. But after 53 games and no consistency, it became clear this wasn't the fresh start everyone had hoped for. Durant, meanwhile, couldn't escape his own injury woes. In 2024 to 2025, his calf kept him out of games that could have been crucial. Booker, on the other hand, was in and out of ankle issues too. The big 3? Well, they rarely played together. In fact, by January 2025, they had played less than 200 minutes as a trio. That's barely a handful of games. When they did manage to get on the floor, they weren't clicking. Their net rating? A negative 4.3, ranking them 24th in the league. Yikes. So, okay, maybe they weren't all healthy at the same time, but what about when they were on the floor together? The idea was that these 3 superstars would figure it out, right? Turns out it wasn't that simple. Here's the thing, all 3 of these guys are all ball-dominant players. Durant, Booker, and Beal all need the ball in their hands to shine. And when you got 3 players trying to run offense and score 30 points a night, something's gotta give. And guess what? It did. The Suns' offense became a mess. With no true point guard to run the show, the ball was swinging around from one superstar to the next, hoping for something magical to happen. The problem? It didn't. So many guys were trying to score. The offense lacked flow and movement. The Suns turned the ball over constantly, 25th in turnovers for the 2023 to 2024 season. The offense was predictable, and opponents knew exactly what to expect. They didn't have enough depth to cover their lack of teamwork. And let's not talk about defense. Oh, wait, we have to? Well, the Suns' defense has been downright bad. When you got 3 guys who can score at will, you hope that they could make up for defensive lapses, right? Not so much. Durant, now at 36, is still an amazing scorer, but his defensive days are numbered. Beal's defense has been on the decline, and the Suns have struggled mightily in the paint. When you can't stop anyone from scoring, it doesn't matter how many points you can put up yourself. The Suns simply couldn't get the stops they needed to win games. They were exposed on defense every night. If the injuries and poor performance weren't enough, the Suns also had to deal with some serious drama behind closed doors. Kevin Durant has never been shy about expressing his frustrations, and it's clear that he's not happy in Phoenix, even when Durant is putting up insane numbers. Shooting 70% in some games, he feels like he's underused and sidelined, while Booker and Beal dominate the ball. That's gotta be frustrating. And it's not like Durant isn't delivering on the court. He's still one of the best in the game. But when you're not getting the opportunities you deserve, that frustration can start to build. And that's exactly what happened. Durant's frustration wasn't just confirmed by his performance. It started to spill out onto the court and into the locker room. It's clear to everyone watching that something wasn't right behind the scenes. Rumors about locker room tension started swirling fast. Some reports even suggested that Durant was mentally checked out, not fully engaged with the team. This team has no clear-cut leader or voice in the locker room. When your star player isn't mentally invested, it's hard for a team to find any real rhythm. The whispers of trade rumors only added fuel to the fire, and things didn't calm down. They escalated. Players like Jusuf Nurkic were traded mid-season, further disrupting the already fragile team dynamics. The constant roster changes didn't help matters either. The Suns could never seem to get on the same page. And when that happens, it's a death knell for a team hoping to contend for a championship. Building chemistry is tough enough without the constant shifting of players. The Suns were stuck in a vicious cycle of inconsistency. Let's also take a moment to talk about the coaching situation, which hasn't exactly helped the team's struggles. Frank Vogel came in after the 2022 to 2023 season, but he didn't last long. After the Suns were swept in the first round of the playoffs, Vogel was out the door, and in came Mike Budenholzer. Mike started off strong, with an 8-1 record to begin the 2024 to 2025 season. But as soon as the Suns hit a rough patch, everything started to unravel. The team didn't respond to his leadership the way they needed to, and the Suns quickly found themselves in another slump. When a team is already dealing with injuries and roster changes, coaching instability only makes things worse. The players couldn't find any stability or rhythm. Without consistent leadership, the Suns were left struggling to stay afloat. Let's not forget the Suns' remarkable 2021 NBA Finals run. It feels like a lifetime ago now. Back then, the Suns were a team that had everything working for them. Great chemistry, young talent, and role players who knew their roles perfectly. They seemed poised to be a force for years to come. But fast forward to 2023, and the Suns decided to shake things up. They traded away key pieces like Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, and Chris Paul to bring Durant and Beal. On paper, it was supposed to be a move that catapulted them to a championship. But instead of improving, the Suns gave up their depth, youth, and flexibility. And now, the team is left with an aging, injury-prone roster that can't seem to get it together. What was supposed to be a championship-caliber team is now a collection of stars that can't seem to find a way to play together. The trade for Durant and Beal may have been bold, but it hasn't worked out the way the Suns hoped for. Sure, they landed 2 superstar players, but they sacrificed their supporting cast in the process. The depth that made the Suns so dangerous in 2021 is now gone, and with it, the flexibility to make adjustments and improve the roster. The Suns are paying the price for their gamble, and it's clear they're stuck in a difficult position. They bet on the big 3, and right now, it doesn't seem to look like it's gonna pay off. So what happens next? Well, Kevin Durant is almost certainly leaving Phoenix after this season. His future in Phoenix is looking bleaker by the day. The Suns are left with a roster full of question marks and no clear path forward. Booker and Beal might still be on the roster, but can they really carry the team without Durant? Can they find a way to make it work together? The answer right now is a hard maybe, and the Suns' financial situation is only making things worse. They've spent big to bring in stars, but now they're handcuffed by their payroll and luxury tax obligations. They can't make the moves they need to improve the team, and that's a serious problem. The Phoenix Suns' Big 3 experiment has officially flopped. Injuries, poor performance, locker room drama, and coaching instability have sunk their hopes of winning a championship. It's a tough pill to swallow for Sun fans who are hoping to see their team rise to greatness. But right now, the Suns are in a rebuilding phase. They've got a lot of work to do to figure things out, and it's unclear if they can recover from the disaster they've created. The dream of a Big 3 championship is officially over. Now, they'll have to pick up the pieces and rebuild, if they can.